All right, for this assignment, we are just working straight up with derivatives. So as we go along, we're gonna get out our rules. So the first one is just asking about if I know the derivatives of each one, should I be able to find the derivative of the sum? So the first thing to notice is that I want to know the derivative of the sum at 4. So this means at 4. So I should only be worried about this column because this is when x is 4. And so the derivative of g plus f should be the derivative of g plus the derivative of f, and it is. And we want to know at 4, that's going to be 4 g prime of 4 plus plus f prime of 4 is going to be g prime of 4 is 4 plus 5. 4 plus 5. The answer is 9. Same thing here. The derivative of 1.7 times g is equal to 1.7 times the derivative of g. We want to know at 3, so it's 1.7 times g prime of 3. We go to the chart. Here's g prime. At the value of 3, it's 2. 1.7 times 2 is 3.4. Same thing here. The derivative of 5x plus 2 times g of x. Well, the derivative of 5x is 5 plus 2 times the derivative of g. We're going to call that g prime of x. And then at 2, it's 2 times g prime at 2. Then we need to look at the table. G prime of 2 is 1. And so this is 5 plus 2 times 1. 5 plus 2. The answer here is 7. Straight up using the power rule, we showed in class that the derivative of x to the r is rx to the r minus 1. 7x to the 7 minus 1. We also showed that the derivative of any constant is 0. The derivative of negative 15 is 0. Power rule again, negative 10 will hold the negative 10 times 16x to the 15th. Negative 10 times 16 is negative 160x to the 15th. Here they're trying to intimidate us. We've got 8t. The square root symbol is the 1/2 symbol, is the 1/2 power. And so here we're going to hold the 8. The derivative of t to the 1/2 is 1/2 t to the 1/2 minus 1. And so half of 8 is 4. And then 1/2 minus 1 is negative 1/2. So hopefully they'll like 4t to the negative 1/2. Or you can write it's 4 over the square root of t. Using the power rule, 45, 5 times 9, 45, x to the 4th, the derivative of 4x is 4. The derivative of 6x to the 4th is 24x to the 3rd. The derivative of negative 34x is minus 34. The derivative of e to the 5th is 0 because e is just a constant. The derivative of 4x to the 6th is 24, I'm sorry, this is w, 24w to the 5th. The derivative of 2w to the 3rd is 6w to the 2nd. The derivative of 5w is 5. Here, type of word problem. There we have this parabola function. Find the values of x for which the slope of the curve y equals f of x is 0. So the translation is set the derivative equal to 0 and solve. Right, well, let's find the derivative first. F prime of x in this case is 4x plus 4. Now if I want to set 4x plus 4 equal to 0, 4x equals negative 4, divide both sides by 4, x is negative 1. Now if I want to find out where the slope is negative 16, then I want to take the derivative again. 4x plus 4 is equal to negative 16. Subtract 4 on both sides. 4x equals negative 20, divide both sides by 4. X is negative 5. Those are the places. That's the place where the slope of the curve is negative 16. 12, I'm just going to keep taking derivatives over and over and over again. The first derivative, I take one derivative, that is 18x to the second plus 16x plus 9. This symbol means take another derivative of this. That's 36x to the first. The derivative of 16x is 16. The derivative of 9 is 0. One final derivative of this, the derivative of 36x is 36. The derivative of 16 is 0. We have to remember that we said that the derivative of e to the x is e to the x. So the derivative of 8e to the x is just 8e to the x. The derivative of that is 8e to the x, and the derivative of that is also 8e to the x. Product rule will remember that if I have the derivative of one function times another, it's the derivative of the first function times the second, plus the derivative of the second function times the first. We'll align our functions here. We'll let u be x to the fourth. We'll let v equal e to the x. To use the product rule, we'll need the derivatives. The derivative of u is the derivative of x to the fourth, which is 4 times x to the third. The derivative of v is e to the x. The derivative of e to the x is itself. We're then going to use the formula. It's u prime, which is 4x to the third, times v, which is e to the x, plus the derivative of v is e to the x, times u, which is x to the fourth. We'll put that in, and we are good. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to put in 1. So that's the derivative, and now we need to plug in 1. So then f prime of 1, plug in 1 there, it's 4 times 1 to the third e to the first, plus 1 to the fourth e to the first. And so that's 4e plus e. The answer is 5e. So we found the derivative, and then they wanted us to plug in 1. Here we'll use the quotient rule. Quotient rule says that the derivative of u over v is v times the derivative of u minus u times the derivative of v all over v squared. We'll take this, put this on another sheet. Take that here, and we'll put it here. So we have space. We'll make it a tad bit smaller. You can see it. Great. Okay. U in this case is the numerator, it's x minus 2. V in this case is 3x minus 4. To use this formula, we need the derivative. The derivative of x minus 2, the derivative of x is 1. The derivative of negative 2 is 0. The derivative of 3x is 3. The derivative of negative 4 is 0. V, 3x minus 4, times the derivative of u, which is 1, minus u, x minus 2, times the derivative of v, which is 3, all over v squared, 3x minus 4 squared. At this point, we're just trying to figure out how much MyMathLab is going to take and how much we need to simplify. We distribute here 3x minus 4 and then minus 3x plus 6 all over 3x minus 4 squared. The 3x's cancel. Negative 4 plus 2, again the 3x's cancel. Negative 4 plus 6 is 2, so that's going to give us 2 over 3x minus 4 all squared. Same thing here for 16. Just working through these things methodically, right? So just when you see this, realizing that we have to use the quotient rule, so we'll take u equals the numerator, v is the denominator. We'll zoom out of this just a little bit. Zoom out just a bit. And then know the formula, u over v prime equals v times u prime minus u times v prime all over v squared. All right, so u prime is equal to 14x minus 6. V prime, the derivative of 3x is 3. And so then it's going to be it's v, 3x plus 4, times u prime is 14x minus 6, minus u, we need more space. So it's going to be 3x plus 4 times 14x minus 6 minus u, which is 7x squared minus 6x plus 1, times v prime, which is 3, all over v squared 3x plus 4 squared. And so the only question is now, how much does my math lab want us to simplify? We'll go the whole way here. We'll FOIL this out. That's 3 times 4 is 42. That's 42 x squared minus, so I'm just FOILing this, minus 18x plus 56x minus 24 minus 21x squared plus 18x minus 3 all over 3x plus 4 squared. Combine some terms. Let's see what happens. I'm not going to do anything to the denominator, so I'll just leave this as 3x plus 4 squared. And then what do we got here? I've got 21x squared minus, I got 42x squared minus 21x squared. That's 21x squared. I got a negative 18x and a positive 18x. They cancel, and so this 56x is just chilling out here. I got a negative 24 minus a minus 3, which is minus 27. And that is the derivative. Same thing here. We've got u in this case is e to the x. V is 8x squared plus 9. U prime is equal to e to the x. V prime is equal to 16x plus the derivative of 9 is 0, so it's plus 0. So the derivative of u over v is v times u prime minus u times v prime all over v squared. V in this case is 8x squared plus 9. It's going to be times u prime, which is e to the x, minus u, which is e to the x, times v prime, which is 16x, all over v squared, which is 8x squared plus 9 raised to the second power. I think you can leave it like this. You can try and put it in just like that. 18, they're trying to make us use the power rule. It's okay. So then we've got 3x squared minus 10x. And then instead of writing 4 over x to the second, we can do 4x to the negative second. So this is just the function itself. And now this is terminology for the derivative. And so then the derivative is going to be, bring the power down, 6x to the first. The derivative of negative 10x is negative 10. The derivative of negative 4x to the minus second. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8x, and subtract 1 from the power to the minus third. Multiply this down, subtract 1 from the power. Here, again, we're going to do the quotient rule. It's a little bit more complicated because inside the quotient rule, we're going to do a product rule. Idea remains the same. Because we're dividing, we're going to use the quotient rule, so we'll assign our numerator and denominators. Of course, we're going to use the fact that the derivative of one function over the other is the derivative of the numerator times the denominator minus the numerator times the derivative of the denominator, all over the denominator squared. So again, we just need our derivatives. U prime is 1. The derivative of x is 1. The derivative of 7 is 0. The derivative of v requires the product rule. So here's f, here's g, and so it's going to be f prime g plus g prime f. Well, f prime is 4x. The derivative of f, so if f is 2x squared, the derivative of f is 4x. If g is e to the x, the derivative of e to the x is e to the x. I'm sorry, we don't need the derivative, it's just g here. But we do need the derivative of g here, and that's e to the x times f, which is 2x squared. So this is 4x e to the x plus 2x squared e to the x. And now we can actually use the formula. So then it's v times u prime, so v is 2x squared e to the x, times u prime, which is 1, that's nice, minus u, which is x plus 7, times v prime, and v prime is 4x e to the x plus 2x squared e to the x, all over v squared, 2x squared e to the x, all squared. We'll be testing in my math lab whether they're going to take that or not. But again, doing this one, picking your u, your v, finding u prime, v prime, and then using the formula. F of x is negative sine x. What is the value of f prime of 2 pi? Well, if f of x is negative sine x, then we need to take a derivative of that. The derivative of sine is cosine, so the derivative of negative sine is going to be negative cosine of x. And now they're asking us to put in pi over 2, so that when we put in pi over 2 there, you got to remember our trig, negative cosine of 2 pi. The cosine of 2 pi is negative 1. I'm sorry, the cosine of 2 pi is 1, and then you have a negative sign there. 21, they're asking for, this means, you see the 2 there, this means the second derivative. This means take 2 derivatives of this. Okay? So I'll call this f to start. F of x is sine x plus cosine x. We'll take 1 derivative. The first derivative is, the derivative of sine is cosine. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. And then we need 1 more derivative. The derivative of cosine is negative sine, and the derivative of negative sine is negative cosine. So negative sine x minus cosine x. 22 just asks for the derivative. The derivative of sine is cosine, so it's 8 cosine x, and the derivative of cosine is negative sine. The derivative of 12x is 12. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. We'll just keep the 5 there. The derivative of 2 cosine x is, I'm sorry, the derivative of 2 sine x is 2 cosine x. The derivative of e to the x is itself, and you just hold the 7. We said these last time, the derivative of secant is secant tangent. The derivative of 5 secant is just going to be 5 secant tangent, and the derivative of cotangent is negative cosecant squared. That's it. Hope it helps.